Hey everybody, Scott here again with another Aperture experience. So I've been playing around with Automator, AppleScript recently, trying to figure out ways, to extend my workflow, do things a little more creatively, a little quicker. And I've been playing with Automator more this past week. It's certainly intriguing. It's interesting. The options for Aperture are pretty limited, so there's only a handful of things you can do. I can see it being very useful for exporting large amounts of things, but not too much for round tripping or working through the workflow of an image still to get to the final state. But one thing I found that was kind of cute was applying these Quartz filters that are built into Mac OS. So I thought I'd show you that service that I built. You can see it on the blog and download it, and what possibilities it offers creatively. So let's take a peek. All right, at this point, I'll assume you've downloaded the Automator service and you've installed it. So let's do a quick tour. I've just got the one image here. If I were to select multiple images, the workflow would go through each individual image and apply the effect. But let's just work with the one. That's kind of for demo purposes and speed things up. So we'll go to the Services menu in Aperture, and you'll have this Aperture Apply Quartz Filter service. Click that. The first is we're prompted for where do we want to export the things we have selected. For me, I just toss it out to the desktop. When I bring them back into Aperture, I'll delete these files. They're really transitories. Next, you'll be able to specify what export preset you use. I've created one that specifically strips off the metadata. It's to avoid some keyword nonsense, so you can read more of the details on the blog. Current version name is fine. I don't really care about that. Again, these files will be transitory. Continue. And so then what comes next is really the heart of the script, is all the different composition filters that are available. Pop art, you do your Andy Warhol type thing. Some of the things you would see in photo booth, light tunnels and so forth. So you can play with all these different things for a variety of quick effects. For this, I'm going to use color pencil. I'll click continue. And the last step is when I bring the now filtered photo back into Aperture, where do I want it to go? What project do I want it to target? Which is one of the reasons I specifically have the service prompt at each step. I don't know, the next time I do this, I'll probably be working in a different project, so I don't want to always go to the same project. I could probably automate the first step on the export. The last thing I will check is this delete source images. Downside of having this prompt each time, I can't automatically have that set all the time. As far as import by reference, I don't bother with that. You certainly could. If you're exporting into a referenced hierarchy, you can then certainly import by reference and be done. I'll do a relocate originals later on when I'm working in my main library. So let's continue that. And the script will go off and chug a little bit, and we come back and we returned with this image. Again, you'll notice the metadata has been stripped off. So the very first thing I'll do is lift the metadata from one of my sources, check everything. I'll do a replace just to be sure I'm replacing everything, not double adding IPTC or things like that. Stamp the image. Okay, great. I'm all set there. This is part of a stack, so I'll toss it in my stack. So let's take a look at these two here. Here's our first one, and then here's the coloring. I can't say this is particularly pretty for the lizard, but I like what it's done to the background, and it's a little more of an artistic look. So that's the quick and dirty of it, and really, in my opinion, just doing the filter by itself, it's kind of a parlor trick, right? Just quick, simple. I would not consider using this as a final image in any way, shape, or form, but it does start to offer some interesting possibilities. As I said, I like what it did to the background, and for a more artistic look on the photo, I started to think blending these images would be pretty nice. So, if all you want to do is play with this, the service, get a quick effect, you're done. But I'd like to go one step further, and I'm going to take these two images and edit them with perfect layers. Unfortunately, Aperture doesn't support layers itself. Perfect Layers does, and it's a free product from On One Software. if you don't have it already, go check it out and download it. It basically gives you layers, something you don't have already. So when we come back, I'll have popped over into Perfect Layers, and we'll see what we can do for some blending. All right, so here we are in Perfect Layers, and you can see these two images I had selected in Aperture have come over. The very first thing I'm going to do is actually make a copy of the unadjusted, or sorry, unfiltered image, and we'll see why in a little bit here. The first thing I want to do is work on these two. So Perfect Layers, as I said, is it's a free product from On One. Download it and get it on your system. They actually have some a free version of Perfect Effects as well, so it's really worthwhile checking out. So I really want to just blend these two images. So I've got this top one, which we didn't touch. The bottom one is what came through our little Quartz service. And I'm just going to take the opacity of the top layer down a bit. And where I'm looking at the background. I'm not caring about the lizard right now. I'll deal with that in a minute. Just looking at the background and kind of I want to get that, that fuzzy, that pencil feel to it. And right about there looks pretty good. I will just merge that down. Okay, great. Now to deal with the lizard, I'm going to mask. So let's get a masking brush, a little specter here, so I can see what's going on. And we'll just start brushing this in. I'll start at maybe 70% just to make sure I don't overshoot it, but just to bring the color back into the lizard. And I'm going to be kind of sloppy here. I don't want to waste your time while you watch me mask in an entire lizard perfectly. One thing that is missing from this particular version of the free version from On One is the brushes don't have edge detection. I've seen that their new suite does, and someday I'll be able to go and purchase that, and it'll be really handy. But that's not looking half bad. So again, the last thing, I'll just merge these down again. So there's our image, and we'll save it. That will shoot it back over to Aperture, close this out, and here's our modified image. So again, let's look at what we did here. There was the original photo done with the adjustments in Aperture. We did a little quartz filter with the surface, and then use that to give us a little artistic feel to the picture. That chalky pencil-like background. So there's some options here. I hope that you find the service useful. Play around with it, make your own. Automator is pretty easy to use. The Aperture options are kind of limited, but I think there's going to be a few more things that I find out that will prove useful for workflows or for creating some more artistic pictures. Thanks very much, and see you again next time.